Hey VC, it's Jonathan, your cheap and cheerful record collector. Hope everybody's doing well out there today and not too sick of being locked in the house. We got out this morning, went for a nice walk. Put our mask on, even our face mask on, even though our president says we don't need to. I did it anyway. So there's been a thread going around of name your top 10 favorite or the best guitarists. I had a real hard time with this. I couldn't get it down to 10. I'm stuck at 20. So I'm going to do two different videos. I'll do one today and another one tomorrow. I really should be 25 top guitarists, but I got down to 20, and that's fine. Today's 10 are going to be people you've probably heard of. Some of them you've never heard of. Some of them you know the name and maybe never heard the music. I encourage you to dig deep into these lists I'm going to show you. And I don't know how you stream music, whether it's Spotify or Pandora or even on Facebook. But dig into some of these artists, and I think you'll be quite pleasantly surprised about some of the artists I'm showing. First guy up is a guy I never heard of until about 4 or 5 years ago. And a friend of mine who is a local guitar player got tickets, and we went to see him. And we walked out, and my friend looked at me and goes, I don't know how he does that. So the guy I'm talking about is Tommy Emmanuel. And I've seen a lot of guitar players. I've seen Jimmy, I've seen Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Pete Townsend, and Tommy is like on another level. He is the most amazing guitar player, one of the most amazing I've ever seen live. He's just incredible. Plays mostly acoustic guitar, but does things with it that you just jaw dropping. So if you get a chance, check out Tommy Emmanuel. Amazing guitar player. Next one up, one I'm sure everybody knows the name of. They probably have heard bits of him, but one of my favorite is Django Reinhardt, gypsy guitar player. 1930s and 40s, played up into the 50s after World War II. Just created a whole type of jazz that had never been done before, combining a lot of gypsy kind of music with modern jazz in the 40s and 50s. And amazing technique, amazing style. Actually only had, I think, 3 working fingers on his one hand because he was in a fire and his hand got all burned up and he had to learn how to replay the guitar again. Played with Stefan Grappelli a lot, who is a violin player. This is a great album, The Best of Django Reinhardt and the Quintet of the Hot Club of France. Definitely, if you know the name and don't know the music, definitely check him out. Django Reinhardt. He died in 1953, so these are all in the mostly 40s, before World War II and during the war. But Django Reinhardt, amazing guitar player. Next one is in the same vein of Django Reinhardt. He does that type of music. Again, jaw-dropping techniques and amazing guitar player. A guy a lot of people have never heard of. His name is John Jorgenson, and this is his CD, the John Jorgeson Quintet. He's in the same vein as Django, plays that gypsy jazz guitar, and amazing guitar player. Really just like stuff you just can't believe. There he is. He's had a lot of problems with drugs, and especially drugs. I think he's been in mental hospitals and drug rehab centers, etc. A lot of issues, but amazing guitar player. John Jorgenson. Next one is a local guy from here in Maine who most people never heard of. He played in his father's country band in the 60s, I want to say. And the story is that during one of the shows, he was like 15, 16 years old. He's playing in his father's band, and he does a jazz interlude during the show. And just I felt the spirit and did a whole thing of jazz guitar licks. And after the show, they went backstage. His father went over, belted him in the mouth and said, "Don't ever play that crap in my band again." And he packed up his bag to hit the road that night. His name was Lenny Breau. Chet Atkins called him the greatest living guitar player to walk the earth. He played regular 6-string, also played a 7-string guitar and some other weird guitars he put together. Also, a lot of drug and alcohol problems, in and out of mental hospitals and jail. Unfortunately, he was murdered in I think 1984. He was found dead in a swimming pool in California. His wife was suspect, but no charges were ever brought. Amazing guitar player. A local legend here in Maine. There's a club named for him called Lenny's. His brother, Denny, who still lives in Maine and still plays guitar, who's great too, but not on the level of Lenny Breau. This music is taken from Lenny's last solo sessions before his untimely death in August 1984. So look up Lenny Breau, and I think you'll be amazed at the kind of work he did. Unfortunately, like I said, he died fairly young and never got the recognition in life that he deserved, but amazing guitar player, Lenny Breau. Then we go into jazz and some more. Before I do that, there's a whole nother list of guitar players which I didn't even delve into, which is country pickers, country and folk pickers. I could have done a whole nother list of those, which would have included Les Paul, Chet Atkins, Jerry Reed, Roy Clark, Merle Travis, what's his face, Doc Watson. Amazing guitar players. I'd love to see Billy Hurst come up with a top 10 country pickers list. If you're listening to Billy, I'd love to see that. Top 10 country pickers. He's a lot more knowledge than I about that kind of stuff. So I think he could come up with a great list. Love to see that. Now we're getting in more into jazz. This guitar player, I saw him in the early 70s with Carlos Santana and Alice Coltrane. And it's John McLaughlin. And this is his album with the Mahavishnu Orchestra, The Inner Mounting Flame. He played with Miles Davis. He played on Bitches Brew, etc. Fusion jazz, but amazing, really amazing guitar player. Great technique and very innovative guitar player. John McLaughlin. Next guitar player, another one I saw this guy at the club in New York called Slugs, which was actually the club that Lee Morgan was murdered in. Saw him in the 70s, right around when this album came out, and it's Larry Coryell. This is Larry Coryell at the Village Gate, 1971. January 21st, 22nd, 71. Fantastic. Very innovative, very technically fantastic, and really innovative, really great stuff. Larry Coryell. So you see, I'm not doing the everyday stuff you see all over the place. Next one, the guy that's considered one of the creators of jazz guitar, taking it out from the back of the band, where before him, it was like the banjo and guitar were always like the rhythm instrument, chunka, 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 chunka in the background. But this guy stepped up, Charlie Christian. And he stepped up and made it a solo instrument, brought it up to the front. Very innovative, played with Benny Goodman for many years. And this is a great album with him and Lester Young, recorded in 1940. Jazz Archives, recorded, 1940 and 41. Does have Benny Goodman in it. Charlie Christian, Lester Young, Benny Goodman, Buck Clayton, Count Basie, Art Bernstein, and Joe Jones. Philly Joe Jones. So there you go. Charlie Christian, the man most credited with bringing the guitar from the jazz, from the background, and into making it a solo instrument. Speaking of jazz guitar, I think I've showed this record before, but whenever I'm showing great guitar players, he always sticks in my mind and jumps up front, and it's Grant Green. This album was a Record Store Day release a couple of years ago. This album is one of my favorites. It is fantastic. He's 2-record set. The first record is pretty straightforward jazz. The second record is completely funk. And as you can see from his hat, pretty funky there. It is amazing. The side C and D are just dripping with funk. Recorded in 1975 in Vancouver. Grant Green, amazing guitar player. There's a lot of stuff, but this is one of my favorites. Then I got some blues I think you might enjoy. My last 2, that was 8. So this one is a guy, I knew his name. I really haven't been into him until the past 2 years, and now I've acquired like 8 of his albums in the past 2 years. I really dig him. It's Rory Gallagher, Irish, I think he's Irish, guitar player. This is Rory Gallagher live, 1972, recorded throughout Europe. Great blues guitar player. This is a great album. Messing with a Kid, Laundromat, Going to My Hometown, Bullfrog Blues. Rory Gallagher. Great blues guitar player. One of my faves. And finally, last but certainly not least, the kid himself, Mike Bloomfield. Bloomfield played in the original Paul Butterfield Blues Band, played on Dylan's albums, played with Electric Flag, was a band he formed after he left Paul Butterfield. Again, drug and alcohol problems, short life because of that, but fantastic. There's a movie they put out about him called Sweet Blues, a documentary. Definitely worth seeing. I mean, it's not fantastic, but it's definitely worth seeing. Some great footage and interesting story about Mike Bloomfield being a white kid growing up in the suburbs of Chicago in the 60s, going down to the south side of Chicago where not many white people would go at the time except for him and Paul Butterfield and Charlie Musselwhite. And they would go down there and listen to all the original blues guys, you know, Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Jimmy Reed, et cetera, et cetera. So my number 10 of guitarists is Mike Bloomfield. So those are my 10. The second 10 will be coming up probably tomorrow. I'll do my second 10. Second 10 are more people you would more familiar with probably. But I definitely suggest, if you don't know some of these people I've mentioned, check them out. Dig into your Spotify or YouTube or Pandora or whatever, and see what you think. Okay? I hope you enjoyed the list. I'm looking forward to see some of yours list. I'd love to see Billy Hurst do a top 10 country picker list. And until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace.